Football and Lone Star Conference scoreboards to places that neither had ever been. Amassing 21 wins in those 2 years, a pair of playoff appearances, and the school's first conference title in 30 years. In 25 games together, they scored more than 50 points in more than half of them, 13 of 25. We begin with one of the fastest wideouts to ever wear purple and white. From the suburbs of Houston by way of Tyler College, he arrived at ACU in 2007 and made an instant impact, joining Jarrell Badon to form one of the nation's most dynamic pass-catching duos. That year, he caught what remains a single-season school record, 17 touchdowns, added 13 more the next year to establish the career mark of 30, and his 232 receiving yards against Angelo State in 2008 remains the high water mark in ACU history. From ACU, he went on to the NFL as a fifth-round draft pick of the Chicago Bears, where he joined Hall of Fame member Danielle Manning and made the Pro Bowl as a rookie in 2009. Most of the Lone Star Conference only saw the back of his number 7 jersey. Tonight, we get to see him and his face front and center. Please welcome the newest member of the ACU Sports Hall of Fame, number 7, Johnny Knox. Our next honoree is the man who threw nearly every one of the 118 balls that Johnny caught in his 2-year career. In 2005, the East Texas native walked into the office of new head coach Chris Thompson and left out the other end of the ACU record books. A 4-year starter with a rocket arm and a linebacker's toughness, he led the Wildcats to playoff appearances in 2006, 7, and 8. And by the time he took his number 2 jersey off for the final time, he was number 1 all time in ACU and Lone Star Conference history in passing yards with 12,012 and touchdowns with 114. His offensive coordinator in those years, Ken Collins, who later became head coach, used to tell him his job as quarterback was deliver the mail. Well, tonight he arrives here, first class in this group of all-time ACU greats. Please welcome to the ACU Sports Hall of Fame, Billy Don, Billy Malone. Our final inductee took a long and winding road from his hometown of Vernon, Texas to the campus of ACU. When he did finally arrive, he ran fast and straight to Wildcat football immortality. In just 2 seasons, he became ACU's all-time leading rusher. 4,321 yards. He's second only to the great Robert Montgomery in career touchdowns with 73. But to try to describe him, or really any of these 3, in numbers alone doesn't do it justice. If you were there that night in Canyon, Texas in 2008, a matchup of undefeated top 10 teams, and you saw this guy pile up more than 400 yards of total offense with West Texas A&M defenders futilely chasing him as he kept running into the end zone, or if you saw him score a school record 7 touchdowns a month later when those 2 teams met again in that epic 93-point victory, 93-68 over WT, you'd know that you had seen one of the greatest to ever play at ACU or anywhere in college football. His senior season was culminated in receiving the Harlan Hill Trophy, the Division II version of the Heisman Trophy. His coach, Chris Thompson, once asked him why he didn't run faster. He made it look easy, okay? Legend has it that he said, I run as fast as I need to. Well, tonight we caught it. And he's going into the Hall of Fame. Please welcome number 3, Bernard Scott. All right. The mastermind There were two of them, Chris Thompson and Ken Collins, who put these three together. Chris and Ken came from Vernon, and that's where Bernard and a lot of his family are from. And so we asked Chris Thompson, now the offensive line coach for TCU, his reflections and his memories of these three greats. Let's see if we can watch that.
I define leadership as people being able to look at you and have confidence. And you know, when you walk down the tunnel with those three guys, Billy Malone, Bernard Scott, Johnny Knox, you have great confidence that you'll be able to go out there and win the game. And so, you know, the confidence that everybody gained from being around those guys and their leadership really changed our program. You got the same guys showing up every day. You got a guy that brings great energy, brings great positive, infectious leadership, and he's just that guy that just there's never any negatives coming out of his mouth, and never complained, and just was ready to go every day. And that's what, on top of talent, great talent, you know, led him to be a great player. Well, the first thing that jumps out about Billy is when he walked through the door. I mean, the guy looks like a defensive end. He's a big man. He could be playing the quarterback position. So size-wise, he just jumps off the page. And then, you know, as he evolved over his 4 years, just evolved into a great quarterback, number one, but also a great leader. I think everybody in the building could look at Billy with great confidence, and you know, as his leadership role grew, he just took over and did a great job for our program. We had known Bernard, Ken and I had known him in Central Arkansas, and then prior to that, he's from Vernon. He grew up in Vernon, Texas, and I went to high school with his dad. So there were some long-time connections there, and obviously connections that were very beneficial for ACU, for our football program. And you know, we go back a long way with Bernard and his family. You know, I think there's so many great memories with those guys. I think when you think about the 2008 game when we went to West Texas in the regular season, that was a huge game, and you know, all three of those guys just stood out and just completely took over that ball game. Our defense did some great things that night as well, but you know, when you talk about players collectively taking over a huge game, a national top 5 game, that was probably my best memory of those guys. Just so thankful that got the opportunity to coach those guys, and the impact that they had on Abilene Christian and had on me personally, and still to this day, the relationships that we still have, just so grateful and thankful for those guys and what they've done.
How many of you saw these guys play? Woo! I was blessed to call, I think all 13 touchdowns that day against WT, 93-68. That had to be fun looking at some of those highlights. You guys did some great things. Let me ask you, let's start with Coach T and Coach Collins. Why did this whole thing work with Coach Collins and Coach Thompson and the three of you? Billy, let's start with you.
I don't know, that's a tough question, I guess. Took a lot of commitment, you know, really, off the field, and trusting those guys. And for me, I don't know, but once that all clicked, I guess, not really bragging on myself or anything, but I guess Kenny came in and he said, we're going to put some guys around me.
Do you remember when you first started practicing with these two when they came in 07?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Kind of hard to forget,
I think I think Bernard with me, you know, they had him down the depth chart, you know, first couple practices. Like, well, come on. But yeah, just being committed to what they were trying to do for me.
Johnny, what did Coach T and Coach Collins mean to you and to this offense? Why did it work so well?
It meant a lot, you know, like Billy said, you know, it took a lot of trust and a lot of commitment. Since day one, they put a lot on our plate. And I think just with the camaraderie and the help from Billy and Bernard, that made it even more easier for us. And that's something that you can't teach. And that's something that